Hi, everybody. So I recently gave a talk on this problem statement to a forum, and I've also written an article on it, which was actually picked up and featured on Medium. So I thought I'd do a quick Loom video just to talk through um, exactly what my thinking is here, and maybe it's of value if this problem statement resonates with you. So further to this, it's not just the problem statement of that I need to make a decision around building my own team versus working with an outsourced partner. It's also going further, and it's saying that getting this wrong could really mean the difference between success and failure. So choosing the wrong option here could be massively expensive. And there's fears and things that are running through your head if you're watching this, and that's what I want to try and address through this. So further to this, there's the further insecurity, which is often actually not acknowledged, which is business, marketing, you and subject matter expert, but you don't necessarily feel equipped to make this decision. You've never built tech before, you've never built an app or a system, and you actually don't feel qualified to make the right decision on this. And it's scary because it's very expensive, and like I've said earlier, getting this wrong can be catastrophic. So the main fear that I want to address is that you won't have control of the project if you outsource it to a software development partner, if you don't have people sitting in your team or in your office, if that still exists with coronavirus. And just a couple of things to consider. So how much visibility will you have into the actual project? So what I mean by this is, in our case, for example, we use Jira as project management, and we actually will open up our Jira boards to our clients if they want it, to just give complete and utter transparency in exactly which tickets are moving through the system, what the velocity is. And that visibility is really important. So when you're looking at your own team or an external team, really just have a look at how much can I actually see into the velocity of the project without having to just rely on people's reports or opacity or anything. The next part of this is how are the communications being handled? So we work with clients all over the world, and we will never have communication cycles longer than 1 week. In some cases, we have stand-ups with clients every single day. So you really want to be looking at how frequent do the project managers talk to you about this stuff? What is the nature of these conversations? What is the culture fit? Do I like these people? Do I not like these people? And that communication cycle is really, really important to manage what's being done in the next 2 week sprint and what was done in the previous 2 week sprint. So really just have a look at how communications are handled. And this is not just for an external partner, this is for your own team as well, with your own project managers reporting back on what's always a very important timeline. Have a look at the meeting rhythms. So like I spoke about, what frequency are you actually going to be meeting with these providers? If you're in different time zones, so we work with clients in all sorts of time zones around the world, and really you want to see how your team has set up to be able to have overlap for at least X amount of hours every day so that there's constant and predictable feedback rhythms. And you really want to assess that culture fit, which I touched on a little bit earlier, just to see, do you vibe with these people? Are they people that you can really communicate with? And this is really important. This is an intimate relationship. You're spending a lot of money. It's a lot of time. You really need to be able to relate to and deal with these people because you're going to be talking to them a hell of a lot about important things all the time. You need to have good agreement on roadmaps of where the product is going. This needs to be a shared document, a dynamic document, a live document, and it needs to be constantly at the forefront of how you're working through this. For us, we work with agile billing and agile methodology. So the roadmap is really important because it keeps a single source of truth of where you're going with your project, and it keeps alignment through what is inevitably a meandering path. The next fear that I'll talk about today is the fear that you're worried that the quality will be poor. Because you just don't know, you haven't worked with people before. Maybe you've worked on a couple of software projects, but you've never worked with a particular team or a particular software partner. So there is a huge range when you're working with an outsourced software development partner, massive range, from very, very inexpensive to extremely expensive and a million options in between. But what we've noticed is at the higher end, which is where we play in the better quality part of the market, there are extremely varying costs, but with very small variances in quality. So at the low end, there's a huge variation. But where we play, which is sort of at the upper end, there are huge difference in the dollar rate per hour. But the cost quality, but the quality variations are actually very small. And how do you assess this, right? So you really should ask for a demo from the team. So we do a ton of these things, and they're a really great way to get a deep dive at no cost into whoever you're considering, to really get a sense of the projects that they've done and their track record. You want to be looking for testimonials. You want to be looking for case studies. You want to know some of the brands that these people have worked on, to understand their process. Because if their process doesn't fit into yours, or you don't fit into theirs, it's going to be a problem. You also want to see how they handle things. How do they do testing? How do they do quality assurance? How do they do sprint planning? What is their process for getting work done? Because without a process, it's very hard to create predictability, and then it's really just scaling chaos, and you're probably going to have a bad experience. It's also testing their capabilities. So if you're not a technical person, or if you don't have experience running projects, get somebody who does that you trust to sit in on that demo. We often ask our clients to do this because very often our clients are very smart, very established business people, but they don't necessarily have the technical experience. So we say, find a CTO that you trust, find a buddy that you trust, and have them sit in on the demo with us so that they can really pick apart our head of development, our head of project management, and really get a proper sense of what is the capability of these guys. Not just what are they telling us that they're good at, but let me actually take a stab and see if they're actually as deep as they say that they are within their tech capability and their project management capability. And then the billing. How do they bill? And does it suit what we want? So in our business, we have agile billing. We will never do a fixed cost project. We don't believe it's the right way to work. We don't believe that it's incentivizing for the right things. And you need to understand what this means. So you need to really say, okay, guys, so you're billing in a fixed cost way, or you're billing in an agile way. Talk us through why you're doing this. What is it that's important about this billing structure that makes sense for you and makes sense for us? And really dig into that conversation, because it's important. Building software is very unpredictable, and you need to be clear on the commercial structure that you're going to engage with your partner. And then just be very aware of agents that are actually re-outsourcing the build. And the reason for this is because it's very, very difficult for these kinds of businesses to invest heavily in their teams. At Nona, for example, we have something called 10% time, where we literally take 10% of the time to just invest in learning, where we're not billing that time. So we put a huge amount of investment over and above that, but even just within that, on continually upskilling our teams. And it's quite hard for agents to do this because they don't actually have control, and they're not really able to upskill their teams. So just be very careful of what it is they're actually doing. And this is one of the main reasons why you would consider an outsourced partner, is because you don't necessarily want to spend all the time and resources, which I'll get to later, but rather have your partner be continually staying on the cutting edge, upskilling, educating, and making sure that the delivery is of an excellent quality and is very current. Consideration, the next consideration. So guys, I'm going to stop there on video 1, and I'll be doing the next one in the series. I think I'll probably get it done in 2 videos. And in the next one, I'll be getting into another consideration, which is the ratios, and what ratios do you actually care about when you are selecting a software development partner. I should have this done in the next day or 2, and look forward to seeing you guys then.